Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate, brought to you by Fantasy Focused and the Original Hooters. I am Sam Holt, joined as always by my wonderful co-host and who looks like a trophy right now, Derek Tate.
We are all trying to play for one of these right now. It is the fantasy playoff time, and we're here on the Fantasy Debate. We're trying to get you that trophy. So yes. It's another beautiful Saturday morning, Sam. We've had about 5 inches of snow here in Cadillac, Michigan. How is Southern California?
It's sunny. There were a couple clouds this morning, so I might wear a jacket. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Was that mean? That was below the belt. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, I know. It kind of kicking me in the tummy there. Thanks. Appreciate it. But no, we've got fantasy playoffs. So for those of you that we've helped get to this point, we want to take you all the way home, though.
All the way. Let's go all the way. But, to the playoffs and to the championship. That's what I'm talking about.
Duh.
Guys, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat for us, and we will get to all of them in sequence. And if you happen to have a question that doesn't get answered today, please tune in tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. The whole crew will be together on Fantasy Focus to answer just start sit questions. So today we're still going to answer all your questions. We're going to get to all of that. But any concerns you guys have, if you are out of the playoffs, dynasty moves, please throw all those dynasty questions in there as well, and we will get to all of them. So thanks again for tuning in. And I see Dried Ocean is here this morning. Good morning, Dried Ocean. Always in here with us. Love you, bud.
Yeah, also first in the building. I mean, we got to golf clap. We didn't even hit live yet. And, Dried Ocean's already getting those questions in.
Yes. And then we've got UGA Bulldog 1234 joining us. Thanks so much for tuning in. We've got It's Fragger, our favorite OG Twitcher, joining us. Thank you so much, bud. We appreciate you every morning. And saying, hey guys, from Sam Crow Nomad. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate you. And then we've got this first question to start us off from Sam. He says, Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray this week? I feel like we're going to get this question a lot because of kind of the downward slope that Russell Wilson's had, plus the injury concerns with Kyler Murray. Where are you landing on him this morning?
Yeah, it hasn't really been pretty for either of these quarterbacks that have, come storming out of the gates. They've looked fantastic. And, for multiple different reasons, both of them have kind of, hit that midseason lull, I guess you would call it. In particular, when it comes to Kyler Murray, the New York Giants are playing really good football right now, like across the board, period. I mean, they just held Russell Wilson in check, and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and the entire crew there for the Seattle Seahawks, and really upset Russell Wilson and the crew. So for me, I expect a bounce back week for Russell Wilson and company. I'm actually going to think that he's going to drop a pretty sizable stat line on the New York Jets, who, by the way, how about Greg Williams deciding to go ahead and get himself fired? I mean, fantastic. Like, you couldn't have drawn that shit up any better. Calling a cover 0 when the opposing team has 13 seconds left and no timeouts remaining on the 46-yard line. Absolutely asinine.
Yeah, I mean, the Jets are a mess. And I mean, I feel like though you might have some worries about Russell Wilson in your playoffs, I feel like this matchup has to make you feel a little bit better week one. It's Russell Wilson against the Jets that just cannot seem to string anything together. So that's a matchup I love. So I have Wilson ahead of Murray this week. Sam, you're in a great position where you've got both of these guys. Too bad you're not in a 2 QB league and you can start both, double dip, but at least you've still got both. I would definitely start Russell Wilson.
Oh, Russ, yeah.
Easy. We've got Kevin S. joining us saying, what is up, guys? Good to see you. It is good to see you, Kevin. It's good to see all of you. It's a lovely Saturday to spend with all of my favorite people tuning in, talking football. And then I love that you guys are going back and forth in the chat too. This is something I always have to get used to with Twitch. I've never sat and watched Twitch, by the way, but I feel like I need to because these guys seem like they have a ton of fun on here. It's Fragger says, pick one though. Wayne Gallman, Kareem Hunt, or Mike Davis.
Kind of an interesting one. I mean, for me, it's Mike Davis because if you are a Christian McCaffrey owner, most are very well aware at this point that McCaffrey now has suffered a quad injury on top of what he has already suffered with the shoulder injury, which is why he missed the past couple of weeks. Before that, it was a high ankle sprain. Just not the year for Christian McCaffrey. So I am going with Mike Davis, who's going up against the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I gotta go with that. I mean, what a rough year for Christian McCaffrey. I mean, that's just brutal. Sorry.
The owners that like were holding out hope that he's going to come in and save your team. You're adding what is like probably the top running back in all of fantasy football that you can take to the bank, that he's scoring 15 to 20 points in a PPR league. You expect that back in week 14, and then you're just absolutely devastated that the man is on the shelf yet again during the fantasy playoff.
Yeah, I have one league that, I mean, I've just been destroyed at the quarterback position. So I was relying on CMC to come back just to give me that point boost. It's over. Phoning it in. That league is done this year. I'm going to focus on others. It's just so bad. But plus all the leagues that, like, I know that so many other people did, they got CMC early. They were super excited to get him, and maybe you had a great draft. I had a league where I got CMC and Austin Eckler, so I started off the season off super excited. Gosh, how the mighty have fallen. It was just brutal. But I like Mike Davis as well with CMC out. So if I had to pick one, I would also pick Mike Davis.
It's close with Wayne Gallman, though. Gallman actually had a great week against the Seattle Seahawks. So if you're a little hesitant and you want to go with Gallman because of what he's done the last 5 or 6 weeks, I totally understand. For me, I've got a Davis 1 and a Gallman 2.
Davis, Gallman, Hunt right up in there. Yeah. I'm with you on that. So we're in sync this morning, which though we normally debate, I think to finish out the season and to get everyone these wins, it's better that we're, seeing eye to eye on things.
We're in unison. We have finally it took us only 14 weeks to start seeing things through a similar lens. So
yeah. Although it is funny in the off season when we're just completely at odds and just,
Well, I like arguing with you. It's fun.
It's fun. It is fun to argue with.
I just want to pick fights.
We've got this one from Dried Ocean. He says, I have an uphill battle this week. My 2-star players, Cook and Chubb, have tough matchups this week. Is there anything we can say to Dried Ocean to ease his concerns, Tate?
Yeah, you have Cook and Chubb. I mean, there's, despite tough matchups, both of these running backs are capable of tearing up any defense in the league. So you start your studs. I'm taking that from Matthew Berry, unless you have something in particular that's really, really odd, then in most cases you're going with who you trust. And both of these guys are top 10 fantasy backs, regardless of matchup, so you're starting them regardless, Dried Ocean.
Absolutely. Start your studs. Don't question it. Don't get cute. We just want to get that win. UGA Bulldog says, flex, half-point PPR, Curtis Samuel, Juju Smith-Schuster, Sterling Shepard, Miles Sanders, also tight end Mark Andrews or Robert Tonyan.
I'll start with the tight end position. This is getting a little bit interesting because Robert Tonyan has continues to produce, and Mark Andrews and the fact that he was on the COVID reserve list and Lamar Jackson, not lighting up through the air. It makes me want to go Tonyan, but you drafted Mark Andrews, and Andrews is still a receiving threat to inside the red zone in particular. I'm going with Mark Andrews. And then if I got to pick one of these receiver options or Miles Sanders, I'm going to give it to Miles Sanders. I mean, we haven't gotten around to the fact that, by the way, Carson Wentz just got benched. A 6-figure quarterback who's 27 years old is now benched for the likes of Jalen Hurts, a rookie from Oklahoma who, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great dual threat quarterback, but he still has a long ways to go to playing quarterback consistently at a high level. I mean, it's just weird to see Carson Wentz get benched. It can go either way for Miles Sanders. Doug Peterson could decide to go ahead and build an offensive game plan that's built around kind of some zone read option type of plays to get him comfortable and put stress on the defense in that way, something that Carson Wentz can do occasionally, but Hurts is a world's better runner than Wentz is. But Sanders, we don't know what the scoring opportunities are going to be. We don't know what it's going to look like. He's a little bit risky, but his upside to me, I'm giving him the nod over the other options.
Sure, I get that. So you went Mark Andrews, and then
Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I think that I get it. The hedging your bets. I mean, me, I'm always going to want to throw Juju Smith into anything because he's my guy. But I agree with you. I feel like if with a rookie quarterback, under center, I think you're going to have to lean a little bit more on that running back. And because the running back position is just so abysmal this year, I think I'm going to hedge my bets with him. And I also agree. I'd definitely go Mark Andrews here as well. And then we got this one from Kevin S. He says it's nothing but rain up in NorCal. I'm sorry, bud. That sucks. I think we might get rain here today. We might. Hopefully we don't. But
my 3-week pit stop in Berkeley, California, it rained a lot. I know about that. I got a taste of that NoCal life. So
yes. And then It's Fragger says, should I be worried about Russell Wilson? He has been playing terrible. He has been playing terrible, but It's Fragger. He's playing the Jets this week. So I would say, how do you put this? I want to say in Jets we trust, but we don't trust. We trust that they're going to be terrible. So trust playing against them.
Well, we don't know what to expect from a defensive coordinator standpoint because Greg Williams is now gone.
Yeah.
However, I trust Russell Wilson against the Jets. I mean, if you're going to trust Russell Wilson against anybody, it should be against a team like the New York Jets. They haven't won a game all season.
They're tanking for Trevor. They're in full tank mode.
You would think. I don't know if that was like the phone call that took place from Jets ownership down to the field, like, hey, Greg Williams, find a way to lose us the football game. And he does, and then they fire him the next day. Like, maybe. Thanks, Greg. You saved us for Trevor Lawrence. Appreciate it, man.
You never know. All right, we've got this one from Sam as well. He says, start 2 running backs and start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. All right, so we got to pick 5 of these guys. So we've got Derrick Henry, DeAndre Swift, Myles Gaskin, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, Cole Beasley, Jameson Crowder, T. Higgins, and Devontae Parker. So basically pick 5. Yes, thank you, bud. All right, so let's unpack this for him. I mean, clear set it and forget it is Derrick Henry out off the board for me. Correct. Yes? Yep. And then wide receiver off the board immediately. I still have Keenan Allen off the board immediately.
Keenan Allen and DeAndre
Hopkins. So I think right now you're just kind of going back and forth on your running backs. How do you feel between Gaskin and Swift?
See, for me, the last time that we saw DeAndre Swift, I felt, very encouraged by the fact that he saw, I think it was a season high in carries in 16. I know that was way back in week 10 against Washington, but, both weeks 9 and 10, he averaged over 4.5 yards per clip, 13 carries, then 16 carries. If DeAndre Swift is a go, I imagine that he's going to see more than 10 carries, even though he's just kind of coming back into action. So for me, I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift over the likes of Myles Gaskin, Cole Beasley. And it's even hard to sit Jameson Crowder. Crowder had himself a pretty nice game against the the Las Vegas Raiders. But that would be Henry, Swift, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, and then, this is where it gets a little tricky.
That flex. That flex is dicey. I think that's why he's asking this question.
What do you think of Gaskin?
Wait, so you're ranking them? I mean,
Gaskin saw 21 carries last week in his first week back. I'm going with Gaskin.
Yeah. I mean, also, is this PPR? I didn't see if it's PPR or not. But I think I will roll with Gaskin. I am a little bit more nervous about Cole Beasley this week just because they are against my Steelers. No offense to the Bills, but Minka Fitzpatrick does like to eat in the backfield and make a lot out of very little when it comes to passing. And, he's just been amazing at covering those wide receivers. So for me, I'm going to lean Swift, Sanders, Allen, Hopkins, and I'll also go Gaskin at the flex position. It's just a little bit, I think you know what you're getting with Gaskin based on what he had last week, the matchup that he's got going forward. I think you feel a little bit better about that one.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. And then let's get to this one from Sebastian. He says, I need a flex half-point PPR. My options are Lamb, Duke Johnson, Pittman, and Perriman.
Ooh. Not wild about the matchup, but the fact that David Johnson has just been ruled out and placed on COVID reserve list means that Duke Johnson should be the lead back. I'm not going to trust CeeDee Lamb. Pittman's actually very, very, very interesting to me, though, for the Indianapolis Colts. But Duke Johnson, even against that Chicago Bears defense, I'm still going to go ahead and he's going to see the snaps and touches that make me feel comfortable that he's going to give you a flex-worthy week and a half-point PPR.
I mean,
set though, really, it's between Johnson and Pittman for me.
Between Johnson and Pittman, okay. Because I was going back and forth because I love CeeDee Lamb and I love him against the Bengals. I think that's such a good matchup.
Good matchup, you're right.
It's a great matchup, and I feel like
I just don't want to trust Andy Dalton in week 4.
Yeah, it's just I think also with the playoffs, you are aiming to have at the very least a very high floor. And so I don't know what the floor is there with Lamb with Dalton. And I think that Duke Johnson's a safer bet as far as volume goes. And that's what you're aiming for with the playoffs. You're aiming for volume. I mean, DFS, you can mess around and do whatever you want, but we got to finish this out strong. We got to get you to this championship. So I think you got to go with the higher floor players. And I think this week, based on that situation with the Texans, you got to go with Duke Johnson.
Yeah, I also do like Pittman, but again, I'm going the safer route. So let's roll with Duke Johnson.
Love it. This one from Sam again. He says tight end in all caps. Sam, do you want me to yell this? TJ Hawkinson or Eric Ebron? Ah.
Well, thank you for yelling that.
I will read it in all caps.
Accurate to the panic that Sam seems to be in when it comes to making a decision between Ebron and TJ Hawkinson. I want you to sound off on this because Eric Ebron's been consistent in this, has like a consistent role in this passing attack, even though that, Big Ben has some great options at his disposal, and in particular on the outside, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Juju. But Eric Ebron's seen it at 11 targets each of the last 2 games, 7 receptions each of the last 2 games.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, Hawkinson actually tied his season high in receptions last week with 7, and he's gone for over 80 yards receiving in the last 2 weeks. So both of these guys are kind of peaking.
They're neck and neck, yeah. That's tough because I think that the Packers have a great matchup with the Lions, so I think that they could definitely capitalize on that. I might just hedge my bets a little bit with Hawkinson just based on the matchup. I'm a little bit worried about the Bills' coverage. But, Ebron's been so good as well. So if you feel like you've been starting him consistently week to week, I would just keep riding that hot hand.
I've seen some more, issues for the Bills covering tight ends consistently throughout the year than I have from the Green Bay Packers. So for that reason, I'll go ahead and roll with Eric Ebron. Even though I'm happy with Hawkinson because I'm a dynasty owner a dynasty shareholder of TJ Hawkinson. Mm-hmm. And I've loved what I've seen from him in his second year. Tight end's always one of those tough positions that translate to the NFL, but Hawk has proven why he was taken so high in the 2019 draft.
Exactly. He's just that freaking good.
Hawk. Yep.
Love the Hawk. We got this one from It's Fragger, another TJ Hawkinson question, but TJ Hawkinson or Logan Thomas?
Hawkinson's been a little bit more consistent. So I know that Logan Thomas had a great week against your Steelers. 9 for 98 and a tutty.
We don't have to talk about it.
I know. I'm sorry. My bad. But Thomas has been good. Yeah. I just think Hawkinson has been a little bit more consistent across the board. For that reason, I'll give the nod to Hawkinson this week.
Yeah, I've got Hawkinson higher in my rankings as well. So I'm going to give the nod to Hawkinson. Start your studs, go with what's been consistent. I know that Logan Thomas looked good. I feel like it's great that you picked him up. This is just in case because, you never know what's going to happen week to week. And if you're trying to make sure you've got the best team stacked for the playoffs, I think he's a great reserve player for you. But I'm definitely going to start Hawkinson over him this week. We've got a kicker question from Sam Crow Nomad. Young Ho Koo or pick up Chris Boswell, Joey Sly, or Matt Prater? I'm
sticking with Young Ho Koo.
Sticking with him.
I'm sticking with him. Yeah, I'm feeling good about Young Ho Koo. I just don't know how. The thing is that Atlanta's decent, at least at moving the chains in between the 20s. At times they have some struggles in the red zone. I think Gurley's going to be playing this week. I don't think Julio's going to be playing this week. But either way, I think that they're going to have some scoring opportunities against the Los Angeles Chargers. So I'm just going to stick with Young Ho Koo.
Same for me. And also, maybe it's just me and probably totally is, but I get a little bit superstitious about dropping kickers mid-season or at any random point or even trying to stream them because I feel like there's they're entirely game script dependent. So there's times when you're going to have a kicker absolutely go off. And there's other times where they're going to continue to hit the crossbar and then just miss. So that's the other reason why, though I love Chris Boswell, he's had some pretty bad misses this season, and the others have as well. So I don't want to risk it on someone, just to try and hedge the bet on the higher scoring game. So I get a little bit superstitious when it comes to my kickers.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm Young Hoku's been fine. So, I mean, I don't want to overthink it. I mean, Joey Sly, if you really don't want to start Young Hoku, I'd probably go with Joey Sly. Yeah,
I agree with that. We've got this one from Darren Murray. He needs 2, Cousins and Mayfield and Trubisky. If it plays any factor, my opponent has Landry.
To me, that doesn't really tip the scales.
I think
Landry's been very good, though. I'll say that much. He's been finally kind of coming along here down the backstretch. But we're talking about, I mean, the Buccaneers, I feel like, are a bad matchup for the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings like to build their offensive game plan through running the football. And the Buccaneers do still play against the run pretty damn well. I think Justin Jefferson's going to have a day against the secondary, though. So I don't want to go with Kirk Cousins. They're going to try to heat him up a little bit. For me, I'm going to probably roll with the likes of, but the Ravens defense, though. I don't want to mess with the Ravens defense either.
The Ravens defense is really what messes it up for me with Mayfield, because I was going back and forth as well. And then I'm like, oh, crap.
I know. I'd probably go Trubisky and Cousins, to be honest with you. And I'm not even I don't like starting Mitchell Trubisky, but.
No, but this is a divisional matchup for the Browns and the Ravens. And the Ravens, they have so much to prove right now. And I feel like that defense is just so beefy. And I feel like they're going to absolutely just make Baker cry this week. So I would rather go with Cousins and Trubisky.
See, I think your Steelers bias is kind of shown a little bit here, Sam. You want Baker to, just a little bit. See,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Baker's coming off one of the.
I feel like I'm very modest about my Steelers love. I feel like I'm very modest.
Not at all showing. I mean, I've got the little Bucks logo is starting to come off. Anyway,
I need to get Steelers earring. That's what I need.
Okay, whatever. Me too. Something to distract the fact that my ears stick out like Dumbo, but neither here nor there. I'm still going to go ahead and flex away from Mayfield. I could see, of all the games, I could see that one kind of being a lower scoring, kind of physical brand of football where the Browns try to run and
they're going to grind it out.
Exactly. So give me Trubisky, give me Cousins.
Yep. Give me the option for the passing volume, not the rushing floor. So love that. And we've got this one from Sam, a defensive question for us. Green Bay Packers, or pick up Bucks, Eagles, Chiefs, Niners, Panthers, Giants, or Browns. Basically the rest of the waiver line. Who else can help him? Or does
the rest of the league? How about the Kansas City Chiefs? Going up against the Miami Dolphins, I still think that the Dolphins are still trying to find an offensive identity at times. I know that they're a decent defensive football team, but any defense, no matter how good, how talented, is going to struggle against Patrick Mahomes. So, a rookie quarterback and Tua Tagovailoa against the Kansas City Chiefs, if they end up having to play from behind, I think it may be a learning experience, to say the very least, for Tua this week. So give me the Chiefs defense.
Yeah, I think I like them the most. It would be Chiefs for me, and then the Niners this week. But yeah, I think that this would be a good opportunity to stream. Do you feel like obviously in redraft, you've dropped everyone that's just dead weight, also people that you don't want other players to have that you're playing against. So if you have that extra bench spot, are you opposed to holding on to a second defense? I feel like you can still stream pretty easily and not have to do that.
Well, if there's an inept offense out there and you're in the fantasy playoffs and you have an extra bench spot and you see that, the other teams in the playoffs like to stream. Yeah. If somebody is playing against the Jets in week 15 or week 16 and they're available on the waiver wire, you have an extra bench spot. Yeah. Go ahead and block them from getting a defense that has an advantageous matchup if you end up running into them in the semifinals or the championship round.
Yeah, for sure.
Strategy.
You got to play to win the game. That's how it works. This one from Darren Murray. Also need 1 wide receiver and 2 flex. Mostert, Gaskin, Moss, Beasley, Hollywood, Aguilar, Pittman, PPR.
So wide receiver, I'll start with, of these options in a PPR, Cole Beasley. Believe it or not, Cole Beasley gives me the biggest warm and fuzzies of all these options. So give me him, and then it's, for me, it's easy. It's Mostert and Gaskin.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It's got to be Beasley for me as well. Mostert and Gaskin also. Love those. Good luck, Darren. You've got it this week.
Good luck, man.
Sam has another one. He says, my friend's got CMC, and he's now sitting at 5th in an 8-team league with me, and he's on the edge of not making the playoffs because of it. Yeah, this is what we're seeing a lot of. This is just the year that we've had.
Tough sledding out there for CMC owners.
I still don't know if I'm going to have Josh Jacobs in one of my leagues tomorrow, so I might be playing both Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones again. And somehow I still make the playoffs. So I don't know. This is just the diabolical year that we've had. It's been crazy. Sorry. No, wait. Did I get that one? Yes, I did. It's Fragger says, Rams defense got me 20 points, man. I don't love Cam Newton. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Cam Newton.
How brutal was that game? That game completely threw me. So we were talking off air. I had a question off Twitter about Cam Akers. And someone asked me, do I roll with James Conner, Kareem Hunt, or Cam Akers? And I was like, it's the playoffs. You got to go with what you know. I would start Conner and Hunt. And then Cam Akers goes and does that. Like, what?
Yeah, when it comes to, I mean, this Rams backfield has been a committee for the most part throughout the entire season. I mean, a 3-headed committee, which is, incredibly frustrating to try to figure out and dissect and diagnose and project on a week-to-week basis. And I know that, some will bang the table and say, oh, well, Cam Akers had 21 carries last week. And, the writing was on the wall. He had 9 the week before, and he's found the end zone twice in the past 2 weeks. Yeah, all that being said, that's all well and fine, but we still saw, Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown at least see opportunities, which if they get the hot hand, it could have been one of those 2 players that, saw 10, 15 carries or something of that nature. Instead, Malcolm Brown, for the first time all season, did not see 1 carry. Darrell Henderson only saw 2, and we saw 29 from Cam Akers. So, I mean, at least if you survive and you have Cam Akers moving forward, you can definitely start him against the Jets in week 15 and the Seahawks in week 16 and feel pretty damn comfortable about it.
Yeah. So I feel bad about that call, though. Hopefully the other guys do just as
well.
So
I know.
It's absolutely atrocious.
I know. It's part of what we do. I mean, you're asking us, and we got to try. We trust me. We want to pick right for you. We want to steer you in the right direction. But
I always want to make the best picks, but it does not always happen. All right, this one from Kevin S. I'm gonna ask this every week because they're so close. PPR, Chris Carson or David Montgomery. I get it. They are close.
Oh, and Monty had himself. I told a lot of folks to sit Montgomery last week, and Monty had one of his best fantasy days of the entire season. But he's had back-to-back 27-point performances in PPR leagues. It's really, really hard to sit David Montgomery right now. I know that Chris Carson caught a touchdown pass, which kind of saved his fantasy day against the New York Giants. I mean, I love the matchup too for David Montgomery. Yeah. I do. I love him for both. It's almost like I don't want to. This feels like a trap question.
It's a trap.
No, I'm serious because it just they both have good matchups and they've both been finding the end zone. So I would probably go with David Montgomery, and I say it through my teeth, but
I know.
I go with David. I love that matchup against the Houston Texans front.
All right. Well, here's what I'll do because we have a super chatter. So we're going to come back to this question because I also think it's too good to just, answer too quickly. So let's get to this one. I just saw it. Let me grab it. No, wait, not that one. New comments. There we go. We got this one from Todd Dunphy. Thank you so much for these super chats. As soon as we see them, we're going to knock them off the board real quick for you. Want to get you that win. And we appreciate the love so much, Todd. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
He says he needs to figure out running backs. You need to start 2 running backs and to pick a flex. Zeke, Jacobs, Dobbins, and Ronald Jones. Oh my.
Yeah, oh my is correct. We don't know. And whenever I see the name Todd, it always makes me think of that Frank Caliendo, Mel Kiper Jr. segment on ESPN. Todd. Anyway, so we got to start 2 running backs and pick a flex. There's no way I'm sitting Dobbins right now.
No,
Seems
exactly.
that he is they're kind of transitioning and making him the feature back in a run-heavy offense. Mark Ingram seems to be the odd man out, and Gus Edwards is kind of here and there. But Dobbins, make no mistake, seems like the lead guy right now. If you think that's the correct assessment?
I agree completely. Yep, Dobbins off the board for me as well, right off.
Dobbins is the guy for me. And then, Jacobs, I don't think Jacobs is going to play. I mean, is it possible? Yes.
It's not looking likely, though.
Correct. So, I mean, I think that this kind of makes your decision a little bit easy. If you're going to pick 2 running backs and a flex, I think it's going to be Dobbins, it's going to be Zeke, it's going to be Rojo.
Yep, pretty much. God, I hate it. I hate that Josh Jacobs is going to be out this week again. But, maybe the skies will open and tomorrow morning he will wake up and just feel healed and then say, you know what? I feel like I'm going to run for like 4 touchdowns today. And then he'll just post that on Twitter with a selfie smiley, thumbs up, and then we'll all know to start him tomorrow. But till that happens, I agree. Go Zeke, Dobbins, and Rojo.
Rojo should have himself a pretty good day regardless. But he playing against the Bengals, you would think that he should be able to salvage some sort of fantasy relevant day. Either way, even if Jacobs is a go, I'm gonna fade him because he's dealing with an injury. So
exactly. No, for sure. And the matchup for Zeke, I mean, if he can't put together a stellar game against the Bengals, then he's got bigger problems than we originally thought. But yeah, thank you so much for this question, Todd, and we really appreciate the love with the super chat. I'm going to go right back to Kevin S.'s question, going back and forth between Chris Carson and David Montgomery, because I am still racking my brain on it as we were even talking about that last question. I think I just love the matchup against the Jets too much to not start Chris Carson in that matchup. So for me, I'm going to lean Chris Carson just because the matchup itself is the only thing that's pushing it just over the edge for me. Okay. I mean, David Montgomery's been decent too. He's been really good. These are 2 good problems to have. But, if everything's still good, Chris Carson's healthy, starting him tomorrow against the Jets.
And Kevin, just so we have a uniform answer, I'll go ahead and go with Chris Carson. It's close enough to where I trust the Seahawks offense, obviously, more than I trust Mitchell Trubisky and the Chicago Bears. So let's uniform up so we're on the same page for week 14. Go ahead and roll with Chris Carson and hopefully a bounce back week for the Seahawks offense.
Hopefully a bounce back week, because if they can't bounce back against the Jets,
right,
pretty bad move. All right. And then it's Frager says this: I've drafted CMC, traded for Zeke, and the tables have turned from that. Yes. Oh my.
Yeah, it's Frager. I mean, you thought that you salvaged having CMC by trading him for what you thought would be another top 10 back, but Zeke's almost kind of like an anchor in your lineup. It sucks.
Yeah, it's crazy. He has this question for us. Pick 2 wide receivers and 1 running back. So pick 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 1 flex. Okay. Nailed it. Wayne Gallman, Mike Davis, Austin Eckler, Kareem Hunt, Mostert, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans.
So give me Austin Eckler for sure for 1 or 2 running backs. I'm doing DeAndre Hopkins and Keenan Allen must start, period. So I am starting 2 Chargers here, even though I know it couldn't have been much worse than it was for Justin Herbert and the rest of the Chargers.
It has to bounce back this week. It has to.
Oh, tough, man. I feel for anybody. I just didn't think Billy Boy was going to get him like that, but the old hoodie can still coach up on defense apparently. So
that week, but not this week.
Yeah. And then, when I'm looking at the other couple options, Mike Evans is kind of intriguing, but I am going to go with Raheem Mostert as one of my two running backs, and Mike Davis because we have no Christian McCaffrey. Yep.
I'm going to go Mike Davis, Austin Eckler, Mostert, Hopkins, and Keenan Allen as well, right off the board. So we completely high five. Match up on that.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Catacomb Kid has a question for us. Bass or Sly this week? Heard Bass because of consistency, but people say it could be 200-mile-per-hour wins that game. Now, we don't have our weatherman Buckey in here today, but hopefully we can still steer you in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, being up here in the in the midst of a snowstorm right now. I would not be surprised if there is some inclement weather, with some of these games on Sunday. But I'm going to go ahead and go with Sly. I'm just going to go with. I love how this guy can just boot the ball country mile, man. He's got a hell of a leg on him there, man. I tell you.
No, I agree. I'm going to stick with Sly as well for that reason. We've got this one from High Upside, Low Risk. Have a bye week this week. So he's looking at next week. Good for you. I mean, that's awesome. We love to hear it. Start 3 non-PPR. Robinson versus Baltimore. Gaskin versus New England. Carson versus Washington. Akers versus the Jets. Dobbins versus Jacksonville. Davis versus Green Bay if CMC is out. Well, good for you for stacking up on the running backs. That's why you're making it to the playoffs and why you're got a bye this week. So congratulations on that first off. But we got to pick 3 of these backs.
So of these 3, I'm definitely going with Akers from what we just saw. And against the New York Jets, you would think that's not a bad game for Akers as far as volume is going to go. They should be playing with the lead. Dobbins against Jacksonville, same exact thing. Jacksonville kind of has had some issues stopping the run this year, and they should be playing with a lead against whoever is going to be under center for the Jaguars. And I'm gonna go with Gaskin against New England because we just saw him get 21 carries last week in his first week back from injury, and we just saw the New England Patriots get torched on the ground. So I am actually going to go ahead and fade Robinson and Davis, Green Bay can get God on the ground a little bit. Robinson against Baltimore, that doesn't entice me, though.
No, I completely agree. I'm going to go with Gaskin as well. I'm going to go with Akers and Dobbins. Those matchups are too good to pass up on those players. And the others for the opposing backs, Baltimore there is tough. Carson against Washington is tough. And then, with Davis, I think he's a bit of a question mark, but also his floor hasn't been quite the same as the others. So I'm going to lean towards the other guys there for you. We've got this one from Kyle Senra. What up, Kyle? He says, hi, Sam and Tate, half point PPR, half point for a first down. I love these types of leagues. Give me all these points. Yes, I love it. Start 3 of these. A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Chase Claypool, Kareem Hunt, Nyheim Hines. I also have JT in the starting lineup already.
I don't like picking between A.J. Brown and Corey Davis right now.
I know.
Corey Davis has been he was obviously phenomenal last week. Game flow helped because they were playing from like 30 points behind heading into the second half. But Davis balled out. I still think A.J. Brown is the better start. So I'm starting Brown. I'm going to roll with Nyheim Hines. I still think it's a committee, and he still sees plenty of run in plenty of snaps in a PPR league, and even ones on first down. He sees plenty of snaps on third down. And then Kareem Hunt. I think you can make a case for Corey Davis, but I'll go with A.J. Brown, Kareem Hunt, and Nyheim Hines.
Corey Davis and Nyheim Hines. Okay.
I know he's already starting Jonathan Taylor, though. So, if you want to avoid starting 2 players on the same team, which is why I'm not going with A.J. Brown and Corey Davis, I'd probably replace Hines with Chase Claypool. Yeah,
I get that. I really just don't like the matchup for Hunt, so I'm not putting him in there either.
It's a great matchup though for the Titans too against the Jags. So
it really is, and both of them could absolutely go off and eat. That's why I think Tannehill is going to be really high on people's ranks this week as well. I will go AJ Brown, Claypool, and Hines as well. I know you've already got JT in there, but like I said earlier, I'm starting Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones in one league, so I don't think it's totally crazy to start 2 running backs from the same team.
It's not.
I don't think I've got a good combo. I like your combo better. I'm just saying, you do what you got to do with what you're left in this season because 2020 has been crazy.
Just get to the finish line.
Just get to the finish line.
That is all.
Exactly. This one from Jade Webb. What's up, guys? This is a tough first round playoffs this week. I picked up Akers a couple weeks ago, and I started him Thursday, so it's a good start. Yes, that's a good start. Well done. I loved it. Good job,
Jade.
Get him. So we've got this tight end question for Jade. Ingram or Burton this week?
Ooh, Trey Burton. Burton's kind of interesting now, isn't he? The thing is with Colt McCoy, I'm going Burton because I don't think we're going to see Daniel Jones again this week. And Colt McCoy, it was very clear that they were just going to go ahead and run the football if they could play small ball and shorten the game, time of possession, kind of like a blue-collar game, I would call it, from the New York Giants against the Seattle Seahawks this past week. So give me Burton, because I just trust the quarterback a lot more if indeed Colt McCoy is going to be under center. I just don't want to trust him getting the ball to Evan Ingram, who's been a little up and down as the season goes anyway.
I mean, I get that. I feel like the Giants offense, they run through some of these studs, and I feel like Evan Ingram is still that stud guy. He's still going to be seeing those targets. So I'm going to lean my bet towards Ingram just this week. I know that, I'm not a perfectly ideal matchup, but it's not the worst. So I think that it's still a good situation. He could still see good volume. He's still a huge, big playmaker for them. So even doesn't matter who the quarterback is, they're going to look to him because he's such a good, amazing playmaker. He's going to make something out of nothing week in and week out. So I will lean towards Ingram on that one. We've got this one from Will Jenkins. What up, fam? Are the Steelers going to at least try to run the ball anytime soon? Asking for a friend who has James Conner on their team. The friend is me. First, what's up, Will? We love you so much. You make my day better. Will Jenkins is like the sunshine in my life. I love him so much. I hope that the Steelers run the ball against the Bills. I hope so. I think that we have a good chance. I mean, I can't tell you how many people were giving me shit all week about my Steelers, but I think bounce back week. Defense is mad. Let's get this done. It's going to be better. Gotta be better.
You just start taking a look now, and you got to wonder how the injuries are kind of piling up now for this Steelers defense. I mean, you remove guys like Devin Bush and Bud Dupree. I mean, is this really still the same dominant unit? Because now you can focus all kinds of attention on TJ Watt. So
I mean, it's tough when you're a team that was supposed to have a bye later in the season so you can properly rest those players, and then you had to play 3 games in less than 2 weeks. So it's taking a toll on my team, my guys. It's taking a toll.
Look, I mean, I can send you some tissues for Christmas if you're going to sit there and cry about injuries.
I have tissues.
I'm just kidding. But I will say this: I hope that they kind of get back to running the football. If James Conner is going to be a full go. It just makes me a little nervous. He's a cancer survivor and had COVID. Or was on the COVID reserve list anyway. I don't know if they disclosed if he had it or not, but do we know if they're going to commit to the run game? I certainly hope so. So,
we shall see.
I think he's worth he's like a top 25 start this week at running back.
Yes, top 25. Thank you. He's not like outside your top 25. He's still James Conner. So I'm going to get to this super chat from Todd Dunphy again. Thank you so much, bud. He says, assuming Josh Jacobs plays, non-PPR, needs 2 running backs, 1 flex. Jacobs, Zeke, Rojo, Dobbins. I know what to do if Jacobs is inactive. Thank you. So we need to, hypothetical situation. Josh Jacobs wakes up in the morning. He says, I feel healed. I feel amazing. I'm going to go out and play my best football ever.
Right.
Who are you picking then?
Todd. So I'm still going to go ahead and because when you're talking about a player that's teetering on being active or inactive when it comes to dealing with an injury, that kind of makes me nervous about having high expectations for them coming right out the gates. I mean, sometimes it works out like that, and sometimes it works out like we saw with Julio Jones a couple times earlier this year when he plays with a hamstring injury and isn't quite the same. So, I love this. I love the matchup for Rojo. And I know that he's a little hot and cold, and the Buccaneers try to find different ways to screw up their game plan on a week-to-week basis by trying to just chuck the ball deep and not establish the running game. But they should be able to do that against the Minnesota Vikings. They really should. Dobbins I think he's a must start. And then when it comes to Zeke, I like Zeke's matchup enough that I'm still going to go ahead and give him the nod, even if Jacobs is active. So I would actually keep it the exact same way and not mess with a guy that is coming back from injury.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, clearly, the Raiders don't know how to put together a running game without Josh Jacobs, and that you're hoping that Booker will break out and, take up those targets and make something out of nothing. But they've also got Indianapolis this week. Don't like that matchup for them.
Exactly. That's another thing.
So that's the other thing that's holding me back. That's a defense that is stout defense. So even if he is healthy and feeling amazing, it's just not a great matchup for him. So I agree with Tate. Still going to roll with the other three guys. Hopefully that helps you out, Todd. I know that you're, probably clenching your fists and just going back and forth. And I've done this too, where you change your lineup 5 times and you hit save, and then you're like, oh no, wait, and then you hit save, and then you change it.
Well, Todd's looking at it like, he wanted to make sure that if Jacobs plays, like, is that really how you feel? And I get it, man. It's hard to sit Josh Jacobs if he's active. And then I know what you're saying, Sam. You don't want to put him on the bench and then Josh Jacobs just torches this Colts defense. But that's the thing. Even if Jacobs was 100% healthy, I don't see him having just absolutely destroying this Colts defense. Yeah. I see him having probably a fair day if he's even 100% healthy. Now that he's dealing with an injury and teetering on being inactive, even if he's a go, do you really think he's going to have a big day?
Yeah.
My answer is no. So if that's the case, I'm sitting him.
No, I completely agree. I don't think it's going to happen. But real quick, this one from Official Savage. He says, Daniel Jones is expected to start via the Fantasy Life app. Interesting.
Okay. Well, then, if that's the case, then I actually would go with Evan Ingram over Trey Burton.
Boom. There you go. All right, let's get to just a couple more of these real quick, and then we got to sign off here for today. But again, if we don't get to your question today, please tune in tomorrow morning, first thing, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, the whole crew. So you've got myself, you've got Tate, you've got Matt Bucks, and you've got Ryan Levy, and then the 4 of us, we just blast through start-sit questions for you. And as soon as you get into the chat, get your question right at the top, because that's where we start. We start right at the top of the list, and then we go down from there. So again, if you miss us, please tune in tomorrow. You can find us live on Fantasy Focus YouTube. So if you haven't already, please hit subscribe.
And I was going to say, subscribe and click that little bell so you actually get a notification whenever we do go live. So you don't miss any of our fantasy football content, shows, etc.
Yes, please. And thank you. We've got this one from Willaday, Gio, Debo, Robbie Anderson, Gaskin, play 2 in full PPR.
Also, shout out to R.I.P. Debo from the movie Friday. Unfortunately, I heard about the actor passing. That sucks. I love that.
No.
So we got Giovanni Bernard against the Dallas defense that has not been able to stop anybody when it comes to running the football with any sort of freaking consistency. I'm going Myles Gaskin first, and then I want to go Gio, but in a PPR, I'm actually going to give the nod to Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson's been he's exceeded my expectations this year.
Yeah.
Debo Samuel's a little tough to trust with Nick Mullins under center.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm going to go Gaskin and Anderson as well. Robbie Anderson. Running my words together. But I completely agree. I'm going to go Gaskin and Robbie Anderson. He has been surprising. I think he's definitely still one of those players that, when you drafted him, or if you threw him at the end of your draft into your team, he was just a guy to you. But he's become such a target hog for them, and he's been so consistent. So I feel pretty good about starting him there.
He's the number 18 PPR receiver at this point. I mean, he's definitely gone way above and beyond what I expected him for this year.
No, absolutely. All right, so we've got this one from Jade Webb. They just say, I have Connor to Will Jenkins, bench him. He is unreliable, bro. So unreliable. I agree with that. Dave says, Dave 4565 says, Cooks, Parker, or Juju, pick 2.
The answer to me here is Brandon Cooks. And thankfully, he did not suffer another concussion this past week. He was actually checked out and evaluated for one. Thankfully, knock on wood, he did not suffer another one. So I know we saw Kiki QT and even Hansen had monster days for the Houston Texans, unexpected pass catchers just balling out against the Colts. But Cooks still saw his requisite volume. I still think he'll see that volume against the Chicago Bears. That's where I trust. That's where I want to go with in week 14. Juju, do you really trust Juju, Sam?
I do. I'm gonna go, because we're picking 2 here. I'm gonna go Parker and Juju, and I know they're all really close in different rankings. I see them going back and forth across the board.
And I can't read because I was only going to pick one, so the other one's Juju for me.
I got you. See, all right. So I'm gonna go with Juju, and I'm gonna go with Devontae Parker. I don't think that Cooks has been able to win over that wide receiver 1 position, and I think that it's just that he's he's not that big playmaker that Will Fuller is, in that he's not that big target. Technically, he's not a big guy. He's not as tall. So I feel like he's not that red zone threat, and he's not been able to break away and make that, yards after catch. He hasn't been able to do those things. And if he hasn't been able to do it all season, yes, he's still going to get a couple targets here or there. I just don't see him having that upside that you really want at this point in the playoffs. So for me, I'm going to go with Juju. I'm going to go with Parker. They still get a ton of targets, each of them. So to me, they both have a very good floor. So I'm going to go with what I know. I'm going to go with Parker and Juju.
All right. Well, I mean, the only thing is that makes me feel confident about Watson is that your boy Watson played his ass off against the Indianapolis Colts. And really, they really should have won that game. They fumbled on the 1 yard line on a shoddy shotgun snap. Say that 5 times fast.
No, because I'm just going to say it wrong. Let's get this last one from Will Jenkins for us, and then we will use this one to sign us off. Will asking us, Gronk or Jonnu this week?
There are times where Jonnu just disappears.
He's just gone.
Gronk seems to have his legs under him. So give me Rob Gronkowski. I trust my boy Gronk. In week 14, it feels right. It just feels right to start Gronk.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like this is a gut feeling for me as well. I just like Gronk this week against Minnesota. I'm still liking it. I just feel like this is that point in the season too for Brady. Like, he's going to go to his guy. And I mean, Gronk is his guy. And I feel like, get Gronk at least 1 touchdown this week, and Smith just tends to disappear. And like we were saying, I feel like the receivers are going to have a big day. So there for them. So I'm not really super high on Johnny Smith this week. He's a bit lower in my rankings. So hopefully that helps you out, Will. Anything else to add, Tate, on that one?
No, let's just again, if we didn't get to any of your questions, thanks you for joining us and hitting us with your questions and trusting us with your fantasy lineups in week 14 of NFL action as the fantasy playoffs begin. And always supporting the channel here on the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate through Fantasy Focused. Just join us tomorrow live. If you got any other questions, if you want to hear Bucks or Levy sound off on some of your questions that you had today, again, we'll be live at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 10 a.m. here in the East.
Yes, absolutely. And if you guys want, I'll also do an hour of answering questions on Twitter today. I'll do that. I can do that at 1 o'clock today, 1 o'clock Pacific. Hit me up on Twitter at Samantha R. Holt. If I didn't get your question today, please just hit me up on Twitter. I'll post something on there later and saying I'll ask questions for an hour. Just do nothing but answer questions. I got a comfy couch. I don't mind helping you guys out. So let's get that done for you as well, because I know we all want to get a win this week. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your questions. Please, again, like Tate said, tune in tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, and we will see you guys next week. Good luck this week. Have a wonderful one.